This is a Ben Frank Connection presentation.
What is going on, everybody? We are back and we're live for another episode of the ABJ podcast.
And apparently I'm in the witness protection program with this lighting.
Yeah, BP said some things. He's under investigation. We have a new setup. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's kind of like I should be here looking, but I'm not. It is what it is. But we're working through it. I mean, do that.
There you go. Perfect.
Actually, much better.
So much better.
But yeah, so welcome back to the ABJ podcast. Tornado Tag, WrestleMania 5, the Mega Power Explode. Pretty soon, these will be numbered episodes. These are just kind of presents right now, but coming in March, we will be doing these. These will be part of the numbered series. So you'll see interview will be number 113, and then 114 might be Tornado Tag, and then we're bringing back Not Cool and a bunch of other different shows that will be part of the ABJ podcast, but there'll be subdivisions of Tornado Tag, Not Cool, interviews. It's going to be a lot of cool content coming soon. I can't wait for you guys to check it out. Interviews out right now. Jorge Guapo has just recently dropped. Also, Evander James, I believe, just
Mr.
dropped.
James.
That was Mr. James.
Mr.
James, formerly Evander James for PPW, just dropped. And then on Tuesday, we will get our third of the fourth member of the Lost Boys, Miles Penn. And then we will be hitting up some handsome Max Zero. And then we'll end out the live episodes with Frightmare and the world famous Cheeseburger. And that'll be in conjunction with the Worldwide Dojo as well as Labor of Love. And that'll be the last pre-recorded interview. And then we'll be live going forward. An interview might not always be in the cards. It might be, you'll see, a wrestler on talking about a movie or a music album or something along those lines. We're going to be mixing it up. This is becoming a full variety channel. We're doing game streams. We have a lot of cool things going here. We're on the quest to 1K. Also, those 3,000 watch hours, which we're super close to. I think we're at 2,666 hours.
666, Daddy's home.
We did it.
So
Speaking of Daddy home,
real quick, you're on a quest for 1,000 subscribers, right?
yes.
Almost as many subscribers as there were matches in WrestleMania 5.
Yeah,
That's
just about. Now, BP, you've been around me for probably pretty close to since the beginning. There was a couple months where, we knew each other. We knew we were content creators, but we never really collabed. And then I believe it was the Yingling event where we finally solidified
the Better Than Ezra concert.
And I kind of was like,
Better
do you just want to be part of the Tornado Tag? And he's like, yes.
Desperately wanting Better Than Ezra?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did a free
They played
concert
live
in
and free.
Pottsville.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty. And then the boys upstairs covered all their hits like 2 hours before their show.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, so we have a little bit of banter we'll go through the beginning before we hit WrestleMania 5. Independent news and things that happened throughout the week of wrestling. Sorry, that's going to bother me. But yeah, so one of the big things I want to come up with or I want to talk about before we get anywhere, a lot of stuff did happen in weekly wrestling. It's boring me to fucking tears. You know what I mean? Like I have no interest in it. AEW, I kind of think that they're going to move some things around and possibly change the title picture around. I was hoping Swerve would be in that. I think Swerve's getting shelved. I really do. I think they have a different view to what's going on there. But the WWE side, man, press conference. We get Roman comes out and talks to Cody. Cody gives up his spot and says, "I won't be wrestling you at Mania." The Rock will. Rock comes out. They hug. They kiss. And then Cody goes backstage. Rock comes out. Then they go to a press conference and they hate each other. No rhyme or reason, just hate each other. And now we're here and we're looking like we're getting a tag match at some point in time. I don't know. It's all over the place. Yeah. I have lost so much interest in Mania this year.
The prevailing rumor is night one main event will be Rollins and Cody against Roman and The Rock. And the main event for night 2 will just be Cody and Roman.
So Rollins gets shafted out of a title match.
Well, no, that would probably also be night 2. So Roman, Cody, and Rollins in this scenario people think may happen would all be wrestling on night 2.
Interesting.
Rollins is going to wrestle whoever is in the Elimination Chamber.
I don't mind that because I feel like if you say you win, right? So I think the men and the women.
Well, they've
should-
already said whoever wins the Elimination Chamber is facing Rollins at Mania.
Sure, but I think the Rumble should be you get the last match of the card regardless. So say night one is like the women win, they get their main event spot at WrestleMania. They wrestle for the world title. Night one, main event of WrestleMania. Men's get night two. That's just how it be. Like regardless, and then the champion has to bid to the person who wins it to be like, this is why you should face me because I want the main event spot.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about that is it telegraphs the Rumble more than it's already telegraphed.
Yeah.
Like at least when it was down to Punk and Cody, you're like, well, okay, this could go either way. Because everybody before he got hurt, and the plan apparently was Punk and Cody at SummerSlam, or Punk and Seth rather at WrestleMania, and you could set that up by Punk winning the Rumble, even if it's not going to be the main event of one of the nights, and it would have been. It probably would have been the main event of night one.
Yeah,
that is a good idea in theory. That would be a good idea if it was a shoot. I'm not a big fan of that just because I think it does telegraph the finish of the Rumble more so than the finish of the Rumble is already telegraphed.
Interesting.
The weakness of the guaranteed title shot at WrestleMania is it just means realistically there's usually every year only about 2 or 3 people that can win the Rumble.
Yeah, it sucks because like a lot of people are talking about, well, the Cody crybabies, and we all wanted The Rock and Roman, and now we got it, and we're mad about it. It's like, listen, you were right there with me when I said, dude, The Rock has to come back. This doesn't make sense if The Rock doesn't come back and wrestle for Roman. It doesn't make sense. And then it finally happened, but it's at the sake of Cody. And as a wrestling fan, I don't want that either. Like
well, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that.
If The Rock comes in and wins the Rumble, and then they say, well, now it's Rock Roman, I'm okay with it because at least he came in and won the Rumble.
Yeah.
But don't give away your fucking match then to say, no, I don't want to give it away. Like that I didn't like it.
It also kind of cheapens, and I get it, like, oh, he's an egomaniac, he doesn't care, but it also kind of cheapens the whole thing of Rock's promo on SmackDown, where he's like, oh, Cody wants this, Cody wants that. Well, who cares what you want? Like, well, no, he won the Rumble. He has the right to.
That's what I said. His promo made. All right, let's talk about that. The Rock's promo, not his best.
He's playing the hits.
He's because, I mean, pick any of them really, but so far since he's come out. Now, I'm just saying, for me, as someone who hasn't really watched any of The Rock's wrestling career, none of it has made sense so far. Every time that I've seen him on screen, it's just kind of like, I'm here. So
I hyped The Rock up like, yo, this is one of the greatest guys on the microphone. He's one of the best. Now, in the last couple months that she's been watching, she's seen MJF promos. She has seen Joe promos. She has seen some really good promos in today's modern wrestling.
Right.
And then The Rock comes out and does pretty much a I hate nationality promo here.
That was the first one I watched. And then I was like, wow, this is awful.
And then he drops this promo, and it's like, this is not the greatest of all time. Like, he's like, honestly, he's back to writing it on his arm so he could remember. He's not the same Rock we remember.
Yeah, and I think give it time. I think patience is going to be key with all of this, just because there's going to be some developments, and I think everybody's going to wind up getting most of what they want eventually.
Yeah. No, I agree. Now, is there anything else in mainstream wrestling you want to cover, talk about news-wise that was out there?
No, not really. Obviously, there's that big announcement for AEW that Big Business is coming in a few weeks or like a month in
Boston.
Which they're basically trying to recreate the Punk thing by telling you Sasha Banks is going to be at WrestleMania without telling you or Big Business without telling you that Mercedes Moné is going to be there.
Yeah. Now they said that this is going to be and I'm sure we'll talk about it more as it goes through, because I think more things will fall into place. I think they might even put some title matches on that card, maybe even.
It'll be loaded up.
They'll be bolstering it up because they said like this is going to be groundbreaking. This is going to be a night of wrestling we're going to talk about for a while, and her just showing up isn't enough to do that.
No, the other rumor is that when Okada shows up, is that when other things happen?
Is it Big Business, big money means all your money people show up in one night?
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest thing I want to put over, we did a live stream of it, and I if you haven't watched it yet, or you're like, man, Tony, we watch mainstream wrestling, maybe this bloodline thing ain't doing it for me. Maybe I'm not an AEW guy. I'm just struggling. I love pro wrestling, but this stuff is not where it's at for me. go check out Fight TV Thriller. It's like $5, whatever it might be a month. It's super cheap. And go watch this year's J Cup. Wow, was it so good? So good, man. You had the great Sasuke.
The Jersey J Cup, right?
The Jersey J Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, GCW, JCW, Jersey Cup. Great Sasuke versus Speedball Mike Bailey is a match you must seek out. Jordan Oliver, Nick Wade was fantastic. There was not a match that was in that tournament that was like, I wasted my time watching this show. You eventually get to a point where Mosh is wrestling Matt Makowski, which to me stole the show the entire night. Like, it was so good. Go support your independent wrestling. There's a lot of great stuff out there. Also, speaking of professional wrestling, and this is me putting some bias aside, and I'm not one to lie to my audience or say that I'm going to sugarcoat stuff. Not every promotion in my area I support. And not every promotion or promoter I'm a fan of. But what I am a fan of is is their locker rooms. And I love the people that work there. And I love the people who are involved and everything like that. I'm never going to shy away from putting over a talent because they work at a promotion I'm not a fan of.
Right.
That being said, they announced over at the Smashmaster Wrestling, Effie's coming. I'm a huge Effie fan. I love me some Effie. And I'm thinking to myself, he shows up at Smash. There's only one guy on that card.
Only one.
That needs to wrestle Effie. And he put his promo out today. I shared it in the community. I shared it everywhere. Hopefully it happens. I think it's leaning towards it's going to happen. But J.S. Hawthorne said, Daddy is coming. Daddy is coming. Daddy has never left. The theater Daddy has always. Drama Daddy. He cut such a good promo. And I believe that I feel Effie's going to work him or see him. And I think that's going to put J.S. Hawthorne on a bigger stage. And what better
as
place?
he should be.
Exactly. And that's what I'm most excited about is one of my friends going to be wrestling a really popular person, and not just popular because they're a wrestler and they get bookings, but they run their own shows. They have one of the biggest wrestling podcasts. Like, Effie is a media person that can get people. If you work Effie, you're going to get eyes on you. And J.S. Hawthorne deserves all of that. I hope that's the way they go.
Yeah. Let's ignore the fact that, we've worked with J.S. Hawthorne a lot. We like him. He's really good.
He's good.
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
Really.
And hopefully that happens. That'll be a match that I'll definitely be on the lookout for, trying to watch as soon as it drops. But super excited. Yes, Steven said Bloodsport X, Matt Makowski versus Akira. So he went from Masha to now Akira. And Nick Nemeth will take on Speedball Mike Bailey.
That's going to be a big one.
That's fucking sick.
It's funny though, because we've seen Makowski and Akira in a similar setting.
We did. We watched that match already. We seen it in Frog Sport. Yes. You can watch that match on YouTube right now, but I'm sure they're going to turn it up a little bit. They're two different wrestlers. But Hawthorne for Big Gay Brunch in Philly, I would want nothing more than that for that.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, if we get J.S. Hawthorne somehow on Big Gay Brunch in Philly, I would love that. Love that. Anything on your end of the woods, PPW? Anything you want to put over, promote?
Well, we got a ways to go, but we have March 9th will be the next one. PPW Born the Run. I'm trying to think of what we've already announced, so I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on anything just yet. I think what we've announced so far, we actually had to peek behind the curtain here. We had to make a little bit of an audible with an issue that came up, and so. The main event of the show wound up being Adrian Soriano, the champion, against Sam Adams. And Sam Adams got his title shot, but because Soriano won, now Primal Fear and the Syndicate in the main event on March 9th for the trios titles.
Interesting.
And there was also some shenanigans where that No Good Championship material stole the tag team titles from Wrecking Ball Legursky and Alec Odin. And Alec Odin and Wrecking Ball weren't happy about it. They beat up some security, so they're suspended. They're not going to be invited. They're not welcome in Slatington on March 9th. So in their stead, Championship Material are defending, and I use air quotes heavily, defending the tag team titles against CXR.
Okay.
Which I love that team. Every month I'm a bigger fan of that team. TJ Epics and Chael Connors are.
I'm so happy they're getting an opportunity there. PPW is bringing a lot of people in that I care a lot about. Obviously, like how did Harleen do in her debut?
Harleen got the win. Harleen got the win over Zaya Brookside. TNA knockout Zaya Brookside.
Wow.
And Clara Carreras in a 3-way.
Love that.
I think they may be the only 2 matches we've announced so far. I don't. Oh no, because he earned the right. A rematch from a ladder match back, I think, in September or October of last year. Nolan Pierce and Dio Bando for the TV title.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If there's an audio out of sync, it might be. It's been happening a little bit recently with StreamYard. Are you using Firefox or Google Chrome?
I am using Chrome.
And then it shouldn't be a problem. I don't know. Sometimes it happens where it gets out of sync. If we're out of sync, is it both of us or just Brian?
It might just be me because I look out of sync on my end.
Oh, okay, that might be it then.
I can try leaving and coming back.
No, you're fine. StreamYard's fine. This is the, like, audio for the most part anyway, and you're pretty much in the dark. I don't think it made that much of a difference.
Yeah,
right now.
kind of.
We both don't have faces for radio at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But yeah. So PPW killing it. You know, they got Journey. They got Ricky Price there now. They're bringing in some really cool people. Harleen now in the fold. I'm really excited. CXR. I love those kids to death. They're really, really talented, and it's exciting to see the future of PPW.
And I know a lot of people were very. I didn't get to see it because I'm usually backstage during PP. I don't want to press too much on this, but
yeah,
I know people have raved about Clutch Adams against VSK from the last show.
They're both amazing.
People loved that match. I have to try to sign up for Premier Streaming Network so I can actually see it. But if you have Premier Streaming Network, check out PPW Born the Run, or I'm sorry, that's the next show, PPW Walk the Line, and Clutch Adams and VSK tore the house down, as they often do.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's get into it. We are going to rewind the clock back to April 2nd, 1989 at the Boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The World Wrestling Federation had a total did a pay-per-view, WrestleMania 5 in the Trump Plaza. Unfortunate. A total of 14 matches were on this show.
We'll just say Boardwalk Hall because the actual building is Boardwalk Hall.
Yeah. The main event was Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, billed as the Mega Powers Explode, which after a leg drop, Miss Elizabeth was ringside in a neutral corner for the first half of the main event prior to referee sending her to the locker room. And it also had undercards, including Ravishing Rick Verd versus
We're going to run through it all. We're going to run through it
for the IC title. I'm just kind of setting the stage. The Hart Foundation were in a match. Greg the Hammer Valentine, Honky Tonk, Demolition, the Powers of Pain with Mr. Fuji in a handicap match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And there was a whole bunch of just absolute shenanigans going down on this card. But it's going to start off right away with America the Beautiful.
Oh no! Oh no!
By Rockin' Robin.
So
this is how hard it was to get women's wrestling on a pay-per-view.
Yes,
in 1989, that they would rather have this.
Yep. So you win the World Women's Championship, and you're like, "Can you sing?" No. Awesome.
Great.
Get out there and
do it
sing.
anyway.
She was so uncomfortable. I don't think she did a awful job, given the circumstances.
I think horrible. Whoever told her to do the rendition and like hold on, pause here where there's not a pause, and then pick it up a half a step later, and do that every single time. Whoever told her to sing it like that should be banned.
I don't think she was given any if it's pro wrestling, she was given zero direction.
Probably not, especially back then. Although
you don't think she practiced it. You mean to tell me you don't think she practiced it?
I would almost guarantee that they put her out there a day or two before. I don't think she knew for a long
couple hours, and we're just
I would
it was advertised that she was going to be singing the national anthem, or America the Beautiful. They always do America the Beautiful. I think it was it's just like what they do in WrestleMania. Like they had done it in other ones where I don't know who did it. WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 3. I want to say it was Aretha Franklin. Yeah, it was Aretha Franklin. I know 15. I was at 15. It was Boys to Men. Yes.
Who's singing it this year?
No idea. I know who
it should be Boys to Men.
No.
Should be Boys to Men. Being that it's in Philly, come on.
Boys to Men did it at WrestleMania 15 in Philly. It should be The Roots.
Oh, The Roots, yeah.
But
I like that.
Fair.
I know Ray Charles did it at one point. Little Richard did it at one point. Depending on how big WWE has been, it is how big of a star they get for it. But yeah, Rockin' Robin was not the best usage of Rockin' Robin as far as that goes. And if she did run through it, somebody should have pulled her aside and said, brotherhood is one word, not two. It was always brotherhood when she said it.
Well, because she's a Hogan fan, brother.
Well, actually, yes.
Is that
part-
actually like accurate?
No, that's
Do
not
you
why
think
she
that's
did
why
it.
she's saying it that way?
No, but
'Cause
part
that
of
was
the
what bothered me.
part of the build up to the Mega Powers Explode was they did this thing called Face to Face on Primetime Wrestling, and they did it for Hogan and Savage, but Savage didn't show up. He said if he saw Hulk Hogan, he just wouldn't be able to contain himself. He would just beat him up right then and there.
Love.
But then they had Sensational Sherry and Rockin' Robin, and Rockin' Robin was taken up for Hogan, and Sherry was taken up for Macho Man.
Yeah. So we are gonna have the greats, Jesse the Body Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary tonight. Fantastic. Listen, I we were listening to the show and watching the show, and Lily's like, man, she likes them on commentary, and she goes, she actually like the way they flow together reminds me of you and BP. And I said, that's what we've tried to achieve
Well,
since.
plus I also caught on to the or what was it? Stop that.
Oh, would you stop that? Like,
would you stop
will you
that?
be serious? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we throw even in our own commentary, we throw a lot of homage to the Mean Genes, the Jesse Venturas, the Mean Genes, the Bobby Heenans.
I watched a little too much Gorilla Monsoon growing up, and some of it definitely rubbed off.
Yes, absolutely. I know me personally, when I try to do commentary, I try to mimic a little bit of probably more of the Jesse than I do Bobby, because Jesse was a heel, but he also didn't like some heels either. Like he wasn't just straight down the middle where good guys are bad, bad guys are good type deal.
Jesse Ventura is the best wrestling color commentator there ever was.
A lot of shots being thrown.
Yeah, they were going to throw down there a few times.
There was some. So again, I don't know much about what was going on, but I did see Donald Trump in the front.
Yes.
But you played it back. You didn't have to play it back. I was listening so intently to what they were saying. I was like, dang, they're calling out everything. This is not even wrestling related, but I am here for it.
Jesse threw a line out on commentary that says, what, just because they're not from America, they don't like you? Did your ancestors come from a different place? What, should we just tear down the Statue of Liberty? If they're just your friends, they're allowed in the company.
Oh, so if it's your friend, they're allowed in though, because they're your friends though? Oh, okay.
That's 100% Jesse Ventura throwing shots at Donald Trump. It has to be.
Well, I mean, back then, believe it or not, Trump wasn't super political.
Wasn't he positioning to make Native American people get blood tests so they could prove they could have casinos?
I don't think in '89. He had just wrecked the USFL a few years before that.
Yeah, it's rough.
And now he's in the process of wrecking Atlantic City, which took a little while longer. But no, I think that was just more Jesse being Jesse. That was Jesse. And it's so funny because in kayfabe, Gorilla Monsoon is from Manchuria. He's not from America. I mean, I think he even brings up like, oh, you're from your parents came from Italy, because that's really him. But they would throw little things like he would call everybody called Gorilla Monsoon Gino, and he would even call him Gino Monsoon sometimes.
Commentary thrown a lot of inside baseball names being thrown out a lot.
Monsoon
there were so many names that I didn't know.
Monsoon was very inside baseball to the point where, and this is kind of the lesser side of Gorilla Monsoon, I guess, where if a wrestler was secretly gay, he would say, oh, he went to the Pat Patterson School of Self-Defense, or no, the Terry Garvin. No, it was the Terry Garvin School of Self-Defense. Terry Garvin was another openly gay agent. Or he would say like, oh, he learned that go behind from Pat Patterson or something like that.
I love that. We'll get to the match, but there's a lot of things I want to call to attention on commentary. But we're going to start off with our first match of the evening: King Haku with Bobby Heenan. A lot of Bobby Heenan in this show versus Hercules. This match was rough. All right. It kind of got sloppy for a little bit there. There was I don't think it was so much on the fault of King Haku, to be honest, but it was what it was. They got 6 minutes and 55 seconds out of it, and your winner is going to be Hercules by pinfall.
So the whole story behind this match is Hercules is feuding with the Heenan family. And Hercules, if you go back to like WrestleMania 4, he was a heel. He wrestled the Ultimate Warrior. Bobby Heenan was his manager. And because Hercules kept losing the Ultimate Warrior, he wanted to get rid of him. So he sold his contract to the $1 Million Man, who wanted to make Hercules his slave. But he didn't want to be a slave, so he turned babyface, and he was the mighty Hercules. So this is the common man, the guy who's not going to be a slave against the king.
Yes.
And
Um,
it's very strange because sometimes that crown would be defended like a title, and sometimes it wouldn't be. So, like, Hercules didn't become the king because he won this match, but like not too long after this, like maybe a month or two after this, Jim Duggan does become the king by beating Haku. But he's like a transitional king because like a month later, Macho Man becomes the king, and that's
Yeah.
when he became Macho King.
Overall, what did you think of this match? What are the things that stood out for
Eh,
you? Things that maybe you wish you forgot?
It was I if you're looking at it through 2024 eyes, it is very much not what modern wrestling is. It's very plotting. There wasn't, especially in WWF in the 80s, work rate wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Work rate was not something they really cared about. I mean, you had your Ricky Steamboats, Tito Santana was really good, Randy Savage was really good, but they didn't really care about that. If you wanted that, you watched NWA or WCW, who, by the way, had a show that night that a lot of people watched. Like, a lot of people watched wrestling that night. To this point, WrestleMania 5 was the highest bought WWF pay-per-view. It beat WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, all of them, just because you had more pay-per-view audience. Like,
Wow.
more houses were wired for pay-per-view. And then to counteract WrestleMania 5, WCW did a Clash of the Champions where to that point, one of the most beloved matches ever happened, which was a 2 out of 3 falls match between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat was the NWA champion and successfully defended against Flair.
Yeah.
And if you wanted that kind of wrestling, you watched the other guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different flavor, and I think a lot of people are like, "Well, we like this style so much that we think this style should be what everybody else is doing." Like, kind of like right now, people think AEW should do more of what WWE is doing, and they're like, "We want to be different." It's like DC Comics and Marvel Comics,
I think
Sony
it's
and
the
Xbox.
opposite. I think it's the opposite. Everybody wants to do New Japan kickout matches now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is what AEW style is.
It's losing me because of it. I can't stand when a guy gets hit with a semi truck and kicks out.
And it still keeps going for another 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, kind of going back, I know we kind of went into the main of 5, but Jeff Hardy, that match should have been stopped. He was out cold.
Yeah.
That should have been stopped. That was really disappointing in AEW for that one. But anyway, another thing I want to call attention to, I don't know logistically why they set it up like this. I don't hate it. I like the steps going down from the second story to the ring with the crowd in it. That was a cool camera shot. I wish that was the camera shot for hard cam the whole show, but it was just the entrance and then the hard cam turned again. You know what I mean?
From what I understand, because I listened to a few things kind of prepping for this, this is the same building where they do like the Miss America pageant and things like that.
Yeah.
And the locker room was basically the stage, like they would do Miss America on. I guess it was a high stage. I don't know, because there were steps coming down and everything. It was just the way that building was laid out, and they didn't do big elaborate sets back then because there are a lot of seats that you get rid of when you do that, and ticket sales are really the name of the game back then. Even though this was 4 and 5 were both in this building, they did WrestleMania in the same building 2 places in a row because Trump gave them a buttload of money. Like more than they would make running a stadium to run these shows. And that's why the crowd is kind of dead for this one, because a lot of it is just passing out tickets to the high rollers. It wasn't a wrestling crowd.
Yeah. 18,963 is what they said it was. Was WrestleMania 4 set up the same way? You came down steps?
Yes. Yeah, it was the exact same thing. To the point where if you look very closely at the apron, they just basically covered up the 1 in IV for 4, and so it looked like a V for 5.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into something else that I picked up on, but our next match will be a tag team match. The Twin Towers, Akeem, the African Dream, and the Big Boss Man will take on with Slick. Will take on the Rockers. Now, I might have smoked a lot before watching this, and I had like an epiphany, and I was thinking to myself, like, I always think back of a moment in my brain where like I remember watching wrestling for one of the first times, and I remember it was because my parents got me into the fan clubs. I knew who Hulk Hogan was, but this was my first time really seeing wrestling. I'm like 3 or 4 years old. I don't know if I watched it live, but I was young, very young,
right?
And I just remember these 2 dudes cut a promo. They had cool clothes on, and they ran through the crowd, and everyone's
clothes were cool.
I thought they were cool. I still think they're cool. I'd wear that tomorrow.
I literally said I'm gonna go find the fabric and go remake
I'd rock
this.
it.
It's
There you go.
happening.
Yeah. And then everyone, because they were so close to the entrance ramp, I remember them feel like they were running through the crowd because like they were so tight.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then they came out and wrestled two big guys and got their asses kicked. But I just remember being like, yo, they move and wrestle differently than anyone else on the show. And I remember them standing out to me.
And here's the degree of difficulty. Apparently, Sean got into a big fight with his first wife the night before this show, and him and Marty went out partying until about 4 o'clock in the morning, and they were massively hungover for this.
They wrestled like,
And they still
were
worked like
Well,
that.
I still think one of the best work rate matches of the show.
It's Shawn Michaels, of course they did, and Marty Jannetty.
First off, real quick, the Big
Michaels-
Boss Man was good.
The Big
For a
Boss
big
Man was
man.
incredible.
He was so good for a big man.
He was
And
incredibly
Akeem was
athletic.
not terrible either. He knew what to do and how to get by.
Well, Akeem one man gang. He was a top guy for a long time in the territories. So yeah, this was a pretty good match for the time they gave it, and a Big Boss Man busted out a power bomb, which you didn't see really.
Yeah, where he caught him and then spawned a power bomb. Dude, I looked online for this match and I have a review site open. They gave this match a 1.5 stars. And I think that's disrespectful. I thought this match was one of the better ones on the card. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Sean guy.
It's because every match was so short, and for the big guy versus little guy match, this was really good.
Agreed. Totally agree. And it made the Rockers still look like they were a threat, even though they got beat. But real quick, because once again, Lily is still new to wrestling, and I tried my best to explain to her Akeem the American Dream and why he exists.
Well,
walk us through this character.
He exists because they like making fun of people. So he's the African Dream, Akeem, and when they make this gimmick, it started in like mid 1988. The head booker, the guy who basically ran the wrestling side of their main rival, Jim Crockett Promotions, was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So they already had one-man gang. Like if you go back to WrestleMania 4, one-man gang, I think made it to the semifinals because I know he beat Bam Bam Bigelow. So basically, one-man gang becomes Akeem. Slick takes him to Africa and he finds his roots as the African Dream Akeem.
And he's completely white.
Right. No, I saw the thing. I saw it.
And he's a white guy that dances and acts quote unquote black because that's what Dusty Rhodes was. The whole thing is to make fun of Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
Here's my question though. All right. Y'all don't judge me on what I'm about to say. Did Dusty Rhodes act quote unquote black though?
He was a man of the people. He connected with both black and white audiences.
But to say that he stereotypically, right, for quote unquote acted in the same manner, are we saying like in the same manner? Like
as of right now, people of color, they call Cody like a black champion because he's in an interracial marriage. He's openly spoken that he's for the people of color. He speaks for people of color, and his dad was kind of the same way. Like his dad didn't see, oh, this is a white guy and a black guy. He knew black guys struggled, and he would try to book and get people over on that role. And so that was their way of making fun of it.
I guess my question but he wasn't making fun of them though.
No.
But this was like let's just make fun of who Dusty Rhodes is and make it into a character and like exaggerate it a lot.
Let's make a really large white dude act black and call him the African Dream to make fun of Dusty Rhodes.
Got you.
So the Rhodes family has been shit on since WrestleMania 5.
The beginning. Since the beginning.
Finish
the damn story.
It kind of even goes beyond that to as far as Dusty goes. It was more Dusty coming up in the 70s and early 80s where he would kind of, for lack of a better term, because this is what they would say back then, talk jive to a degree.
Yeah.
He would use a little more like street slang, but it was never like in a way that was mocking or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
And a lot of guys in the late 70s, like him, Billy Graham, a few others, really took a lot of their pattern, a lot of their, if not the outright verbiage, they would take a lot of their presence and the way they talked. They would literally lift it from Muhammad Ali. And that was another reason why that conception came in. And the funny thing about this is around this time, I think shortly after, like almost directly after WrestleMania, because he was on SummerSlam that year, they actually got Dusty Rhodes because Dusty got fired after Turner bought WCW.
Then they
Dusty
brought
got
him in and
fired.
put him in polka dots.
But did they put him against Akeem though?
Yes.
Yes.
They did. Oh no.
There is a hilarious gif of Dusty hitting Akeem with his elbows, and Akeem does the dance because he's trying to stay up. And Dusty keeps hitting him with the elbows, and eventually he goes to hit him with one of the elbows, and Akeem just falls before he can hit him.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And Dusty came in and they shoveled shit in his face, and he took it with a smile and kept going, and he
got paid.
And he got paid. Yeah.
Like actual poop.
No, legit. They treated him like shit.
Oh, okay.
Well,
okay, sorry. I'm like, whoa. Okay,
yes
like,
and no.
Was Dusty in charge of the booking when Ron Simmons was world champion?
No, that was Bill Watts.
Okay.
There was a thing though here. The reason the big reason the Twin Towers won this one, they're big guys, and this was like the era of the big guy, but also they're heating them up to in the house shows after this. They were challenging for the tag titles. So that was another big reason why.
Yeah. And Big Boss Man with the Confederate flag on his police uniform.
Well, it may have been, but it was also at that point I think the Georgia flag, the state flag of Georgia, had a Confederate flag on it.
Got you. All right, that makes sense. All right, I enjoyed this match, but the Twin Towers are going to win by pinfall, and now we're going to get. Speaking of another Dusty rib, we're going to get the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase with Virgil versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Also a
Brutus,
rib.
not Broody.
No, Virgil is a rib on Dusty.
Virgil is another make fun of Dusty Rhodes.
So they've been making fun of Dusty Rhodes since WrestleMania 4 because Virgil was at WrestleMania 4.
Yes.
Virgil is Dusty Rhodes' real first name.
Right. Yeah, I think you told me that earlier because that was news to me.
Now this match, Gorilla Monsoon on commentary just keeps calling Brutus Broody.
And I'm like,
Brudi.
That's it. And I'm like, what is his name? Didn't you just tell me his name is Brutus?
Yes.
What are they calling him?
And she's like, what is he? I said, he's a hairdresser. And she goes, why does he have head shears? I'm like, because he's crazy.
No. I said, oh, he's a barber, and then he came out with gardening shears.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, he has shears. Oh, he has.
In his bag, he usually had regular scissors too.
Yeah.
So the whole barber gimmick, Brutus Beefcake, when he first came in, he was a bad guy, and I guess his gimmick was like he was a male stripper. That's hence the name Beefcake.
Okay.
And he was
plus those tights were skin tight.
She thought $1 Million Man was a stripper because the way
I didn't.
The way his suit came off.
Hold on. You put those words in my mouth. Hold on. When I saw his outfit, because we all know I tear apart the outfits, right? I see that there is a separation between the jacket and the shirt that has the Velcro on the back, and it's come down. But I was like, okay, so is he gonna? Like, does this part stay on? Like, in my head, I'm thinking it's like a dickie, right? And the shirt part and the frilly part is going to stay on.
She thought he was going to rip it off like a Chippendale.
And it's going to be like a Chippendale moment.
Well, no, it's just so
I'm not saying I think he was going to strip. I just was trying to figure out, was he just going to have the trunks on, or is he going to have this little frilly thing around his neck too?
This pay-per-view has 4 of my favorite all-time wrestling gears too. I love the Rockers gear in tonight's episode.
This is also the debut of the debut of the black suit for DiBiase.
Love the black and gold suit.
He usually wear a green or a silver one before this.
Yep. The black and gold is my favorite $1 Million Man. Macho Man's gear tonight.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't like the purple on the orange. I prefer the white.
I didn't like the orange either. I didn't like the orange. I
like the orange.
Orange and purple together. I didn't like how it looked. So with he did a pink and green cape.
He eventually
but the pink and green cape did not match the orange shorts.
I like the orange, white, and purple because King Macho Man then had a lot of orange and stuff as well. But after this, he becomes more of like he looks like a cowboy. He has the leather jacket
with all the
I like Macho
everything.
Yeah, I like Macho Man with the cape, no shirt, trunks, and the bandana, and like he's almost bare minimum, but it's still flashy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and Rick Rude. Rick Rude's one of my all-time favorite characters. Yeah. So we have $1 Million Man versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake. This one's gonna end in a double count out, no winner. And the stipulation of the match was a hair versus hair.
I don't think it was. They kind of intimated like Brutus might cut his hair because that's what Brutus did. The whole origin of the barber thing was he helped Piper cut Adrian Adonis's hair at WrestleMania 3. That was when he first turned babyface.
Yeah.
And then he became the barber. I don't think this was a hair match. He had just done a hair match against Ron. He didn't even have a feud really with DiBiase. These are like two guys who were pushed guys, but they didn't really have a program going on. But back then you didn't really need a feud for every match because it was so rare to see two guys of that caliber wrestle each other on free TV. You only really did it on like Saturday Night's Main Event, and it was usually after a feud was kind of running out of gas. So it's like, oh, because you got to remember, TV at this point was usually like job match, squash match, and then like your main event of a TV show might be like Coco Beware against Randy Savage or something like that. Like two guys that are like, if it was nowadays, the main event of a Raw might be Drew McIntyre against like Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, and $1 Million Man, I forgot. I didn't even forget. I was always a fan, but I love him in the ring.
He was very good.
So can I just say that for someone being named Brutus the Barber, Beefcake, I was full. Forget the beefcake part. I was fully expecting like a Sweeney Todd gimmick. Like this dude is gonna come out and he's gonna cut people's heads off, and there's gonna be blood everywhere. And I'm just like getting ready for someone to get cut.
Yeah, he doesn't. He never had that much depth to his character. Essentially, he flopped between good guy and bad guy, in according of if Hogan needed an opponent that he can beat.
Yikes!
Now this was his peak run, and he was the Barber for a good 3.5 years, and he would have been longer, but he got hurt.
Yeah.
He the year after this, he had the parasailing accident. But no, they would not do that. This was very much time when WWF was for children. One of the reasons I liked WrestleMania 5 so much at the time is because I was literally 5.
Yes.
Pray, train, and eat your vitamins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything else with this match you want to cover before we get to our next one?
No, it was a match, and the one kind of story they try to tell within the match was both these guys kind of used a sleeper, where Brutus used an actual sleeper and DiBiase used $1 Million Dream.
Yep, and we never really got. I mean, $1 Million Man put his in, but I don't think Brutus ever got his in, did he?
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
Or he did, and DiBiase got right out of there.
Yeah. Then we have the fabulous Rougeau brothers with Jimmy Hart versus the Bushwhackers,
and they cut part of it off, and I was furious because they did an interview before this with somebody. They did an interview with or they were showing like the thing with the Bushwhackers, or Oakland was interviewing somebody. I forget what it was.
Oh yeah,
but they cut off part of the greatest wrestling entrance music that ever existed. All American Boys, the Rougeau Brothers theme.
Now, Rougeau Brothers, she's like, what are these guys? I'm like, they're Canadian. We just make fun of them.
Well, no, they're Canadians that moved to Memphis, Tennessee.
I missed that part.
Once Jimmy Hart became their manager, they would wave little American flags. And their theme, All American Boys, is all about that. And then there's an entire verse that's in French. And if you translate it from French to English, it's all about how like they hate Americans and they're so
oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
But the Rougeau brothers are one of my favorite teams.
Jimmy Hart is referred to on commentary by Mean Gene is the Colonel all night.
Yes. Okay, so there's a reason for that.
What's that reason?
Up until this point, Jimmy Hart was most famous for managing the Hart Foundation and the Honky Tonk Man. And they didn't start calling the Mouth of the South was kind of his nickname from when he was a Memphis guy. He always had that nickname. But the Colonel comes from him being the manager of the Honky Tonk Man. And the Honky Tonk Man is an Elvis impersonator. Elvis's manager was Colonel Tom Parker. So they would call Jimmy Hart Colonel Jimmy Hart.
Nope, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. I never heard of him referred to as Colonel. It caught me off guard. I was like, wait, why do they keep calling him
there's a line in the Honky Tonk Man's theme song. I got Peggy Sue beside me. Because he would come out with Peggy Sue, which was literally Sensational Sherry in a blonde wig. While Sherry was also on shows as Sherry. She would be Sherry. She would go back, put on a blonde wig, a poodle skirt and all, and come out as Peggy Sue. And you're supposed to act like these were two clearly different people.
Yeah, I love that.
So there's a line in Honky Tonk Man's music that said, I got Peggy Sue beside me, the Colonel's in the back.
Gotcha.
Okay.
This match, I didn't hate it. It was a Bushwhackers match. It was a Bushwhackers. It was a comedy match, but I don't think the work rate was bad.
Did you notice what happened? I forget if it was Luke or Butch, but Ray Rougeau goes to slam him, and literally the one Bushwhacker rubs the genie's lamp, so to speak, as he's getting slammed.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I have to go back and rewatch this again.
Gives it a firm grab for a good 3 or 4 seconds.
I love that. Now, I was trying to explain to Lily the Bushwhackers, right?
Oh boy.
And she's like, "What are they?" I said, to me growing up, I never knew they were New Zealand for a while. I thought they were dumb like Southern hicks who were silly and stupid, and then that
No,
came.
they were from New Zealand. They ate sardines and they licked people's head. That's all you really have to know.
Yeah,
about.
but weren't they like legit like killers in the
Oh
indie
yeah,
scene?
no. Well, not even on the indie scene. In the NWA, they were like a brutal heel tag team. They would have they were the sheep herders. They would have bloody brawls. They would they were vicious. I'm trying to think of a team.
Briscoes. Were they like Briscoes where they weren't afraid to go out there and bleed and fight and get nasty and gross?
Pretty much,
and then they came to WWE and became
Can I tell you something?
cartoon characters.
Yeah, became cartoon characters. Exactly.
I've only ever seen one Briscoe work.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the Briscoes, they look like good old boys. They had long hair, they missing teeth, like they
never had long hair,
right?
But...
Well, Jay, well, I'm saying, but
Jay did have Jay had dreads. Yeah, I'm thinking of like early Briscoe brothers.
Yeah, but they just didn't look like your glamour boys.
No, they were.
So essentially, they don't look like bodybuilders and all that, but they're still the kind of guy that you see at a rough bar and you're like kind of scared of them. Like that. That's the person that
you would fight the bodybuilder before you fought them.
One of my favorite promos.
Right. Yeah, like you're just like I'm staying clear away from that person.
Like Hulk Hogan are these crazy dudes because
they're crazy.
Hulk Hogan will knock me
stop.
out. These crazy guys will bite my ear off.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was one of my favorite Jay Briscoe was the Briscoe brothers were gonna wrestle in Ring of Honor. They're gonna wrestle Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, and Cole and O'Reilly did a lot of like MMA stuff in their matches. They called like Team MMA, Team Jiu Jitsu, and they're talking about how they went to he's like the Tap Out Boys. He's like we went to the bar, and literally they had Yingling. They were like talking about drinking Yingling, and he had a bottle of Yingling, and he's talking about like going to the bar, and the Tap Out Boys are there. And he's like, we got into a fight with him. And he tried to put me in an armbar. He's like, he's trying to put me in an armbar in a bar fight. Beer mug upside the head. Best promo ever. Best. Yeah. And then for some reason, Mark Briscoe's behind him, and he puts a bottle of Jack Daniels in a bale of hay and shoots it.
Yeah,
and that's the Briscoes.
Yeah, I would say the Briscoes were your sheep herders at one point in time. Like they
that team of crazy guys you didn't want to mess with.
Yeah,
that was the sheep herders, and the bushwhackers were clowns.
They looked at life differently. They didn't look at for glitz and glam and the fame. They were there for a fight.
Right.
Yeah.
They made their money on fights, and even if they got the money, they're gonna put their money into their small little nest and their small little home, and like they're not gonna seek out the mansions. They're gonna like that's just they have a lot more to lose, but less. Yeah, they're simple, but they have a lot. Yeah,
it was I'll lose 2 pints of blood to make sure you lose 3. Is the sheep herders.
Okay.
Well, once again, kind of crazy, but we get a decent match out of it. The finish was not the greatest, but it happened. A lot of interference, and we'll get to the next one here. This one,
Jimmy Hart did some fun work in that match.
Yeah,
too.
Jimmy Hart
it was a comedy match. It was fine for what it was.
Yeah, this match,
and then they did just cost Sean Mooney in the aisle and lick him, and or Sean Mooney.
Yep.
Dude, and the funny thing is, Sean Mooney, as someone who's hugged a wrestler after a match, they purposely put all their sweat all over him.
He did say, he was like, yeah, go for it. Like, why not? Or something like that. And you're like, man, you could tell he didn't.
And they still licked each other's heads sweaty. Like they cared about each other. Like, I don't think I would do that. But this next match.
And by the way, Bushwhacker Luke is a good friend of a good friend.
He is. Yeah. Bushwhacker Luke and one of our friends are really good buddies. And I will always love the Bushwhackers. As a kid, they were one of my first favorite tag teams too. If you were a kid and you didn't fucking walk around your house, I seen him live once, and it was the coolest thing ever.
I saw the Bushwhackers quite a few times at the Spectrum.
We have Mr. Perfect versus the Blue Blazer here. We don't get a lot of time. We only get 5 minutes and 49 seconds, but God, was this a good match, and God, did I love it. And
so Mr. Perfect is so perfect he slipped coming down the steps.
He fell down the stairs.
That too.
Yeah,
he fell down. He's not.
And he never broke face. He just
But he also had no music coming out, and I was like, is he too perfect for music?
This was a time, and I noticed this a lot through the show. And by WrestleMania 6, it's mostly gone. This was a time where not every heel had music.
Yeah.
Andre never had music.
Yeah. Andre didn't have music either.
Andre never had music. DiBiase didn't have music at this point. Even though he was a babyface, Duggan didn't have music. Like they did later on, Duggan and Bad News, neither guy had music.
Yeah.
Not every single person had music at this point. And then by WrestleMania 6, I think one of the last big guys to get music, and was like right before 6, was DiBiase.
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
everybody's got a price on. Everybody knows.
Wasn't that one of the things that they used to get made fun of by like WCW, and then it's like, oh, come here, at least you get entrance music.
Not always, because I think more people did for a while, like NWA and all would just use real songs too, but
Yeah.
they did like ECW, they just kind of ignored copyright law. Or once they were owned by Turner, they used a lot of stock music, but yeah, I think maybe it was a thing like, oh, if a heel has catchy music, people think he's a baby face or something like that. But this is the debut also of Mr. Perfect's trademark neon singlet. Before this, he would always wear trunks.
Yeah, they did say something about him wearing very bright colors.
Yeah, that doesn't look like Olympic gear.
And the blue blazer, of course, is Owen Hart, who was...
It's hard seeing him as the blue blazer because we know how that story ends.
You had to tell me how that story ended, but yeah.
He essentially went back to the blue blazer because he was uncomfortable doing a storyline.
Right. No, you told me that.
And if he doesn't choose that storyline, he doesn't have to come from the ceiling, and we probably still have Owen Hart.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not wrestling, but he's alive, and
he's alive. Yeah,
he gets to see his kids grow up. Good match. Not a lot of time, and Mr. Perfect gets the win because Mr. Perfect is, and they even it's funny because he wrestled the blue blazer, but there was a promo afterward where he kind of talks about Bret Hart because he did a house show loop with Bret Hart, because he would always kind of tease Bret and Jim Neidhart doing singles because they knew how good Bret was. And if they wanted to test out a guy like, let's see what this guy's really made of, they would put him with Bret Hart, which was a mistake once because they put him with a guy called Tom McGee, and it was an amazing match, and people were like, oh, this Tom McGee's really good, and they put him with other people like, oh wow, Bret Hart's really good.
Yeah, Bret's carrying it. Yeah. After this match, we do get a little bit of a promo. Howard Finkel introduces Jesse the Body Ventura as a special commentator.
I didn't understand it.
Yeah, there's more. There's more that happens.
Yeah.
I love music. I'm a music guy. There's one place for some reason. Wrestling.
Are we not gonna talk about Mr. Fuji doing a 5K?
Oh, Mr. Fuji does a 5K. He gets
in
lost
a suit. In a
suit. He gets lost in the crowd, but somehow comes out at the end. Clearly cheated.
There was a thing where like, because they had these, I don't think still have them, but even like years after this on the Atlantic City Boardwalk, they would have these like push carts. There would be like these little, like it would be like a bench with a.
This is
like
before the tram car.
That's Wildwood.
Watch the tram car.
That's Wildwood.
Yeah, it's Wildwood. Atlantic City. Good call.
Atlantic City had these push carts where you would sit in the cart and somebody would literally be behind you pushing you down the boardwalk. And like I think they said Fuji got one of those and got pushed to the
pushed to the finish line. And then we had the music act. And music in wrestling, for some reason, just don't put it inside the ring. It never works. It never works. I can't tell you one music performance that looked good or sound good in a ring.
Me neither.
And this is not going to be shocking. The Run DMC's performance was not good in the ring.
You weren't a fan of the WrestleMania rap?
The WrestleMania rap, which was clearly like a spoof of It's Tricky or something.
I don't remember.
No idea.
You couldn't hear it.
I couldn't tell you because I couldn't tell what the beat sounded like. I couldn't tell any of the musical.
Just keep them on. If you're going to do music at wrestling shows, put it on the stage. Keep it on the stage. That's what works better up there.
There was no stage here.
But I'm saying it just don't ever put it between the ropes. It never works.
Wasn't the worst celebrity segment of this show. I'll leave it at that.
Was it Donald Trump?
Oh, it's up there.
There's one that went a little too long for me.
Okay.
All
right, I know what you're going to say, but I might disagree with you on it because it's hard for me not to like it. But unless we're not thinking on the same thing. But then we are. Then we get Mr. Fuji and why he turned on Demolition and all that great stuff, and it leads to Warrior Barbarian, and it sets up the Warlord and Barbarian, and it sets up the handicap match for the World Tag Team titles. Demolition, Axe and Smash will take on the Powers of Pain, Barbarian and Warlord, and Mr. Fuji. Winners are going to be Demolition. And what do you think of this match? Anything you want to talk about?
It was fine for what it was. Demolition was super over. I have a soft spot in my heart for Demolition. They were at this point probably maybe my favorite act in the company. It was like them, because Savage sure also like, oh, I'm mad at Randy Savage now because it was 5. But Demolition was definitely a team I was really into, and it was the same. Like Demolition matches were never anything more than them just beating up on guys, and they beat up on Fuji.
So in your history of this podcast and doing things together and doing some cool things together, where does us hosting and recording and being part of the Demolition breakfast meet and greet, where does that rank?
Very high, because it's not just Demolition I'm a fan of. There's a guy in Demolition that's something else that I'm a very big fan of.
Yeah.
And I actually got to talk to him a little bit about that day.
That was a cool day. That was a real cool day. We didn't even know we were doing it. They're just like, "Can you guys host the Q&A with Demolition?" I was like, "Yeah, we can do that. Can we film it and put it on our website?" They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, Brian, here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You get a camera, I get a camera. Let's fucking make it work."
And then
I think the footage came out good.
And then later on that day, I'm using the bathroom, and as I go into the bathroom, Smash is coming out, and as I'm leaving the bathroom, Bushwhacker Luke's good friend is coming in. It's like, oh, this is an interesting bathroom trip.
Yeah, it's a crazy bathroom exchange.
So unpopular opinion. I can't even tell you anything that happened in that match.
It wasn't anything special.
It was not. It was nothing that was like, wow, I really want to watch this, or like this guy's gonna kick this guy's. But
they were the two guys that all put face paint
me,
on, and face paint helped a lot.
That's fair, I guess. It was just like, I was like, okay, let me know. I'm gonna be honest. I was crocheting. I was watching and crocheting, and for that one, I was just like, all right, let me know when this one's over, and I'm gonna just keep doing. Doing my
Warlord.
work.
I mean, I think Warlord and Barbarian were good for their time, but I think if you inserted them in today's wrestling, they would struggle. Where I think Demolition were two kind of work rate guys. They knew how to wrestle. They knew what they were doing.
They did. They were definitely very over, and back in the day, like Mass Superstar Axe was a guy who was really good, but this was again very much a work rate. Wasn't anything that WWE gave a damn about.
Yeah,
they really didn't care. But Demolition was so popular, and this was more story driven, and WWF at this time was very story driven. It was Demolition's going to be able to get their hands on Mr. Fuji,
and they wanted Demolition to put over a big strong team, because at this time there's a team on the scene that's not in WWE called the Legion of Doom.
Well, the Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors. Yeah. And they were...
both these teams are Road Warriors ripoffs.
Yes, and they're both at the time, they were made to be the ripoffs of the Road Warriors are the guys who are on my socks with the red shoulder pads with the spikes and the painted...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right.
That's so these two teams are created to spoof those because they were so popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Powers of Pain was originally put together to feud with the Road Warriors in the NWA.
Yes.
They called Powers of Pain just so people could pop.
No, because there's that. Well, you either got a Road Warriors pop or a Demolition pop, and that was
Demolition was very over. And I even though they were kind of derivative of the Road Warriors, I still have very soft.
G. Henry says Demolition better than LOD.
That's my joke.
It's the LOD.
Oh, you're going LOD.
It's called the Road Warrior pop, not the Demolition pop.
No.
All right.
Power of Pain, POP.
Yes.
No, I get it. No, okay, I got the joke.
All right.
Now here's where,
because I don't know who these people are.
Here's one of my legendary, or one of my I don't like this as a spot in the card. We bring out Mancho Man does a backstage promo, that whole thing. He shoves the camera guy, the camera goes down, it's mayhem. Then we bring out Dino Bravo, we bring out Ronnie Garvin, and then we bring out Jimmy Snuka, who comes down after both competitors are already in the ring ready to fight.
For context, this is him also coming back to the WWF for the first time in like 4 years.
Don't care.
Okay, yeah, I literally was
waiting. Two competitors are in the ring ready to fight. His music hits. He comes down, gets in the ring, and leaves.
I don't even know his music. In the ring. I don't think he even got in the ring. I think he literally came and then walked around the ring and then went back up. And I'm like, well, where is he going?
Yeah. Didn't he come in the ring, like drop to a knee and do the I love you thing?
Yes.
I was like, for what? Yeah. And you're like, that's it. Because he's Jimmy Snuka. And I'm like, but why? Like, why is he here right now?
I want to say, and I don't remember this for sure, I want to say maybe this was to set up something with him and Dino Bravo. Yeah, but I'm trying to think who he wrestled at SummerSlam, and I don't remember.
So
I think he wrestled DiBiase. I don't get it.
Here's my question on commentary with this one: is Dino Bravo legendary for anything with his penis? because they make so many penis
Oh,
jokes
they
on
made a lot
commentary
of
for
jokes.
Dino
I
Bravo.
Yeah.
not that I know of.
Tons of penis jokes. All they talked about Dino Bravo. Mean Gene just talked about his dick the whole time.
Pretty much.
You mean Gorilla or
Gorilla talked about Dino's dick the whole time.
not that I've ever heard of.
Go back and listen to that match and tell me that I'm wrong by saying there was a lot of dick references. As someone who does commentary with you, who throws in slide comments while you're on commentary, they're talking about his dick on commentary.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah. I'm sure they are. But no, and this is also and kind of bittersweet. This is, I believe, the end of Frenchie Martin as Dino Bravo's manager.
Yeah.
Because shortly after this, Dino goes with Jimmy Hart.
So we get Dino Bravo winning by pinfall. And now we're going to go into another tag team match where we're going to get the Brain Busters, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard.
Love the Brain Busters.
Strike Force, which is another really good tag team.
And
you're getting 4 work rate guys in a match right here at WrestleMania 4.
And Strike Force are the former champions, but they haven't teamed in forever because at WrestleMania 4, that's where Demolition were heels at WrestleMania 4. And Strike Force lost the tag titles to Demolition. And in the finish of that, which I think is either Axe or Smash hitting Martel in the back with a cane, they really got him in the neck, and he messed up his neck, and he was gone for a year.
Yeah.
And so
Rick Martel then soon after this match becomes like a really arrogant character, almost like a Rick Rude, but not like a Rick Rude.
It was literally the model.
Yeah, he was a model, and he carried around perfume.
I don't remember which one we're talking about.
Tito Santana was the Mexican guy. Rick Martel was his partner. They were Strike Force.
I don't know if I saw this.
They wore all white, and they wrestled 2 guys that were in all red.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. And then he become Rick Martel, the model. Rick Martel is one of my favorite characters, and he would spray perfume in your eyes. Arrogance. Yeah, I loved him so much. But this match is fun. I didn't hate it.
Arrogance.
I enjoyed this
These
match.
are 4 besides Randy Savage and I guess Michaels and Jannetty, these are probably maybe Hennig and Owen Hart. These are 4 of the best workers on the show.
Yes. This was a really good match. I enjoyed this one. Anything else you want to talk about with this one? Anything?
Well, the big story here is Martel accidentally gets forearmed by Santana. That was like Santana's finisher, so that's supposed to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And then Martel just walks out. So yeah, he basically abandons Tito. And
now the fun part about this rivalry, and it's one of Brian's favorite things.
Oh, I love this.
Is from this moment on, anytime Tito or Santana sees Rick Martel, it's on site.
Especially in a Royal Rumble.
If there's a Royal Rumble, and he's from this moment on till any Rumble they've ever been in after this, if Martel's in the ring and Tito Santana's coming out, he ignores everyone in the match and he's going to kick Rick Martel's ass. It's on site, no matter what.
More than anybody ever in wrestling. There have been people who have blown each other up and done horrible, horrible things to each other and have patched it up. But I'd like to think if Martel and Santana saw each other at the Hall of Fame, they finally put Martel in the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue that Tito's going to rush him during the acceptance speech.
You don't book them. Yeah, you don't book
one without the other.
Yeah, you don't book them at a convention together. That would be what I would do. I'd book them together and then just be like, Tito's
do a pull apart. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tito's like, hey, everyone.
Oh,
that'd be so good.
It's so awesome. Met Tito a few times. He's amazing. Now we get what probably Brian's going to say took too long. The Piper's Pit.
The
Piper's
I thought
Pit.
it took too long.
Now I would have not done the brother love spot, and I would have just did Piper and the other guy.
Well,
I agree because it took forever for him to actually come out.
And this is something that doesn't really age well. Well, I get why they took forever to get Piper to come out because you're building the suspense.
Building it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have Brother Love come out first. Brother Love has been the guy who basically took over what Piper's Pit used to be, the weekly interview segment. It's Bruce Pritchard, who's still involved with WWE, has been part of Vince McMahon's inner circle for a long, long time. So he comes out and he's basically interviewing Roddy Piper, but he's playing both sides of it.
Now, Bruce Pritchard's also very known for being pretty good at doing impersonations of wrestlers.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think was like, do it in your promo? Go out there and pretend you're Roddy.
Yeah. Well, no, that usually happens. If they find out you can do something that they think is funny backstage, they'll have you do it in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
That's like a very wrestling thing. That's how Goldust got the Tourette syndrome gimmick, because he would do it backstage just to joke around, and they had him do it.
That's what Action Andretti did. He's like, I'm really thirsty. I need a water.
Yeah.
Do that on the camera every single time we see you now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stop doing
So so then he does that for a while, and then Morton Downey Jr. comes out, and I can't imagine that most people under the age of 35 know who Morton Downey Jr. even is. I barely do.
Yeah.
I remember the tail, and this is around the tail end of his fame. But basically, it's like if you took Jerry Springer and Tucker Carlson and smashed them together, you get Morton Downey Jr.
He made a pretty cool kid,
Okay.
though.
Yeah, I'm just
Whoa,
reading
who's his kid?
Robert.
Robert Downey Jr. is not his kid.
It's not?
No,
Are you serious?
I'm
'Cause now I need
positive.
to
Yeah,
know. Well, isn't Robert Downey Jr. Wouldn't his dad be Robert Downey Sr.?
you would think. Yeah, no, I
It
don't.
says Robert Downey Jr.'s dad.
Yep. Steven, how accurate is this?
Steven,
I'm
that is-
Googling it.
I believe
I
that
need
is
to know.
incorrect.
I need
Alright.
to know.
Interesting. I read the
believe that
chat.
is.
But yeah. Oh, what happened? All right. So yeah, it was the Bruce thing went on too long, and then him and Morton got each other's face, and then he hit it. The only thing that I'm gonna say for Morton Downey Jr. that he got away with on this one,
Morton Downey.
he pushed Piper to a point where Piper may have had to get stiff with him because he wouldn't stay down. Like if
Right.
Piper didn't just get out of the ring, because Morton's like shot on him,
Yeah,
and like if you shoot at a wrestler at that time frame, he's gonna
Yeah.
fuck you up.
yeah, that wouldn't have ended well if it would have gotten any farther.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think Piper realized that this dude's not he's still acting like a tough guy, and I better
Yeah.
get out of here because if he shoots harder, I gotta fuck him up in front of the Atlantic City
yeah,
crowd.
and Morton Downey Jr. was a flash in the pan, but he was a big star at this point.
Yeah.
In fact, this was around the time it kind of ended for him, and one of the reasons it ended is he was at an airport and he claimed he got jumped by Nazis in the bathroom, and they like drew a swastika on his head, but the
Wow.
swastika was reversed like Al Snow's "Help Me," so it was very clear he did it
drew
to
it in the mirror.
himself. Yeah,
Wow.
Idiot.
So for the answer to everyone's question,
It's not.
It's not. But also the fact that Robert Downey Jr.'s last name isn't even Downey.
Got you.
It's Elias.
There it is.
There you go.
And everybody walks with Elias.
that's right.
All right.
He's gonna
So
wrestle Speedball soon.
he
He already
is.
did. He already did.
So then we got a commercial for No Holds Barred. Then they cut back and
that wasn't in
pissed off.
that wasn't in the Peacock cut for me.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
either for me, but it was part of it. But then Monsoon snaps the fuck out. Sean Mooney
Ventura
interviews
snaps.
Donald Trump.
Mooney was so nervous.
Oh, terrified. You know
You
how
could tell whenever
how
they,
many
like,
people
they're
were
going
watching this
away.
back in the 80s, 89, and we're like, that
Yeah.
guy is gonna be the president one day.
It's a shame Sean
None.
Mooney wasn't the president.
No.
Then we get Mean Gene interviewing Hulk Hogan, who cuts the most narcissistic promo of all time. Listen
yeah.
here, brother. This is why you don't like Hulk Hogan, all right? It's because the Hulkamaniacs overrived. There was more maniacs than there was the madness, brother. But that didn't matter to me. That didn't matter to me. I'm just bringing it up for no reason. Like everything was like I was
Dude.
more popular than you, and that's why you hate me.
Dude, he doesn't like you because you're trying to take his woman.
Yeah.
Like, it's very clear why he doesn't like you.
Yeah, but it was because he had more fame, and Macho Man wanted his fame.
No,
Yeah.
that's not why at all.
Yeah.
He's a glory hound who's trying to take his girl. That's why he doesn't like him.
Yes. Hogan's the heel in this. And then we get Bobby the Brain Heenan with Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake Roberts with a special guest referee in Big John Studd. We get 9 minutes here. This is another DQ. This is the one that was really notorious because Jake wins via disqualification. Brings the snake out and Andre gets out of dodge quick. He does not like snakes.
Well,
He
that
looked
was actually after the
terrified.
DQ. Well, that was the whole premise of this match and this feud was Jake was feuding with Rick Rude for a while. In fact, Rick Rude like famously put Jake's wife's face on his tights, like on the crotch area. And the match that ended their feud was on Saturday Night's Main Event, and Andre comes out and attacks Jake. And Jake gets the snake and throws it in the ring on Saturday Night's Main Event, and they act like Andre the Giant had a heart attack. Like he grabs his chest, he falls down, and Heenan's like pounding on his chest trying to revive him.
Oh my goodness.
And then like the Royal Rumble was the pay-per-view.
But he told him, he goes, I'm gonna do this, but don't put that fucking snake on me. Keep it away from me. I'll play dead in the crib, but if you put that fucking snake on me, I will rip it in half.
He probably could have.
He probably could have,
Probably
is right.
could have easily.
But this is also shifting the feud from
What did
Jake
they
and
say?
Andre to Jake and DiBiase, because DiBiase steals the snake. Jake chases him up the stairs, and then Andre starts attacking Stud, and that's the DQ, because after this on the house shows, because back then, even though pay-per-view is a big money thing, the money is still being made at the house shows. So the house shows after this were Stud and Andre for a while, but Andre never liked Big John Studd. Big John Studd was one of those guys that was like almost universally liked. He was just known as a really nice guy. Pretty much everybody liked him, but Andre hated Studd. And it goes back to he told Studd, don't step over the top rope when you're coming in the ring. That's my thing. I don't want anybody else to do it. And Studd still did it. And Andre just hated him ever since. And Andre would, on the house show loop, beat the hell out of Studd every night. And finally, Studd's like, I'm done. I'm done. I quit.
Yeah.
So
I
it
was
didn't last long.
commenting like how like so they were saying when they bring them out, right? They give the height and the weight, and Andre's was 7'4" or 5, and it was like we don't know. We don't.
He actually wasn't 7 foot.
He was. Most people think he was really like 6'11".
Okay, fair. Next thing that I noticed though was like how low down the top rope was to this guy's hand. Like, and they're like, oh, he's caught up in the ropes. And I said, yeah, he's caught up in the ropes, guys. He's caught up in the ropes, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not like he's like up here stuck. He's just like, I'm caught.
Andre at this point, his health wasn't great.
Yeah.
And he would literally have to hold on to the ropes for balance. Like he couldn't.
I'm going to show you the Andre documentary, and it's going to.
That was for the record the first match I ever watched.
You're going to realize how hard it was for him to live in society.
Like
he's.
Well, I mean, I have watched a documentary of his before. I haven't watched any of his.
Yeah, when he traveled to Japan,
I've also seen The Princess Bride.
Yeah, when he traveled to Japan, he had a hard time in plane seats. When he lived in Japan, like to use a shower or to use a bathroom, he didn't fit in there.
Right, because of how
he would use the bathtub as a toilet. Yeah.
Or a sink if it was deep enough.
Fair.
But also like that. If you look at older Andre matches, he used to wear trunks, and then he switched to that one strap singlet, and he wore a back brace. It hit his back brace.
Yeah,
oh.
his body was given out. He was so large and there was so much weight holding up his
he would be dead 4 years from here.
Yeah. Then we go to Tony Schiavone again backstage with Sensational Sherry. She makes fun of Rockin' Robin, and she said she would love to be Randy's manager.
And
I'm sorry, she didn't say that. Yeah, she trash talked Elizabeth, saying the Mega Powers will explode, and it kind of set up possibly her becoming manager with Savage. Then we get the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Jimmy Anvil Neidhart versus Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine. I get it. Hart Foundation was good. Greg the Hammer Valentine matches just don't do it for me.
We're getting guys on the card at this point. Guys on the card.
I will say this. Bret Hart had more of an edge when he was with Jim the Anvil Neidhart than when he was with himself.
They were also only about a year removed from being heels here, so
yeah,
it was kind of still fresh in that.
Yeah. Anything about this match?
No, not really.
Right. No.
This is another match where I love one of the contendants and the other contendant I don't care for. Intercontinental Championship.
Okay, this is a big one.
Yeah,
I really have to use the bathroom, so I was going to try to take a pause here, but I want to talk about this match.
Yeah. Intercontinental Championship, the Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan. We're going to get Warrior going under on this one. Rick Rude wins, and he's the new Intercontinental Champion with some shenanigans with Bobby Heenan holding down Warrior during a pin. I don't. Warrior almost drops.
Can you fill timer? Because I'm going to pee my pants if I don't leave.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Warrior almost drops fucking Rude on his head like 4 times. He struggles. His cardio's not there. There's a lot going on in this match that it just like it didn't do it for me. I'm going to be honest, man. I know people love them some Ultimate Warrior. I can care less. I don't care about Warrior at all.
There was just so much of it that as something that like I have watched not a lot of, that a lot of it made me really nervous watching it and how things were being done, or like how he would drop him or how he was like handling his body, and a lot of it was that he wasn't handling it at all.
Yeah. He wasn't very safe. He didn't protect people. He was signed because he was muscles. That's pretty much why he was there. But this is the birth of becoming Rhythm and Blues, where Greg the Hammer Valentine then dyes his hair jet black, and he's kind of spoofs that he dresses like Elvis as well.
That was the one that was. Okay, never.
Yeah. Fun fact: Greg Valentine. I'm not sure. Honky Tonk Man, I believe, is shoot cousins with Jerry the King Lawler. They're somehow family or something. They're cousins, right? Am I saying that right, Steven? I think they're cousins, but I'm just trying to fill time on this one.
No, that's fair.
If Brian wants to come back and talk about this match more, we can. We're gonna get Bad News Brown and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. This one, I mean, it was 3.5 minutes.
I was gonna say there wasn't really much to talk about on that one.
Once again, another disqualification at WrestleMania. Some of these matches, man, were just like, get them out there,
let them see them for a minute,
but nobody could take the next one. But nobody could take a clear loss to go out there and get a DQ.
Right.
And it's just like
there were quite a few, and it was that was something that I was kind of shook about, because like, for this being what I'm imagining to be like the biggest thing of the year, right? The biggest pay-per-view of the year, whatever it was called at that point in time. I want to see winners. I want to see clear-cut winners. Not, well, this guy won, but only because that guy got thrown out for whatever
Welcome
reason.
to the WWE.
What is that? What is that? I don't know. I was also technically, that was the first WrestleMania I've ever watched.
Yeah. Wow.
How about it?
Sorry. BP, anything about Warrior and Savage? We can't hear you. You have no audio, brother.
I turned my thing down I turned down my mic. I forgot I did it.
Anything about Warrior, Savage, Warrior and Rude?
Just how shocking it was at the time that Rude won that match. It was like, what? The Ultimate Warrior lost?
Wait, because that was a big deal.
Yeah, Warrior was.
The Warrior.
For how? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He was pushed to the moon because he was. Dude, if you had muscles, you were the top guy.
Like, for what I watched. That's hard to believe that, like.
Did you watch the main event later?
It didn't matter if you were good. I can't stress enough how little, like, work rate wasn't a thing.
Right.
If you were a character and you sell merchandise.
Well, so BP, you were here at this when I was just saying, like, when I was watching this, I've heard so much about like the Ultimate Warrior. I've heard about Rick Rude, right? This is technically the first time I've ever seen this match, either one of their matches. And I'm just sitting there like, this is the Ultimate Warrior. This is the guy, because like the way that I'm watching him handle these bodies is not very well. Like the moves that I'm seeing get done are not being done all the way, or they don't look like they're supposed to. They don't look like that doesn't look like it. I don't think that was supposed to happen. That shouldn't have happened there. And that was just kind of surprising. For y'all to say like, oh yeah, it's crazy that he won this. I'm like, is it?
Yeah, he was pushed to the moon. Yeah.
It was for children. And as a 5-year-old watching this at the time, the Ultimate Warrior might have been my favorite wrestler.
Yeah, I loved Rick Rude. I was a Rick Rude guy.
My favorite wrestler. He was he was like a guy who talked about like spirits and space, and
his promos were awful.
He would run all over the place and just hit people.
The moon and the stars are shining down on the Ultimate Warrior, and it brings me the energy that I do to get there.
I actually love him.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, he's
good in horse.
I think you're underselling a little bit. You're talking a little too slow. The moon and the stars of the Ultimate Warrior is more about.
Yeah. He talked like a bushwhacker. Then we had Bad News Brown and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Not much to talk about there. Then we get actually
Bad
after
News,
this,
kind of the proto Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes. Also before this, Ultimate Warrior gets his hands on Bobby Heenan and slams him. So now Bobby Heenan's hurt.
And legitimately hurts Bobby Heenan.
But yeah, he 100% hurts him.
Oh, okay.
When he did that press and threw him down,
yeah,
he hurt Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan
well, yeah, because he dropped him. He didn't. Yeah. It wasn't like he threw him down. It was like, he tumbled.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna walk out now because that was supposed to happen. But
and Bobby was notoriously a good seller. Like he was not hard to bump for. Like he would give you anything you wanted. And he gave his body to Warrior, and Warrior dropped him on this.
And he dropped him.
And it's funny because Heenan wrestled Warrior a lot before this. Like when Warrior was first starting, one of the house show loops they did, because they did this back in AWA with Heenan. He was called the Weasel. And they would do weasel suit matches where Warrior would beat Heenan and then put him in a weasel suit. Mm-hmm. So they worked together before, and everybody hated working with the Warrior. So Warrior wins the Intercontinental title back at SummerSlam, and then he has a program with Andre. Like most of the losses Andre the Giant has in his career came in like a span of like 3 or 4 months against the Ultimate Warrior, where the matches would normally be like Warrior would clothesline Andre, knock him out of the ring, and Andre would count it out. And
there's a notorious story too where Warrior and Andre were working, and he was being rough and kind of working stiff with
Where I'm
Andre.
going, yep.
And Andre ran off. Andre whipped him off the ropes. And
No. I'm gonna get
Go ahead.
Yeah, let Brian tell it. You're gonna tell it wrong.
You've all got it. It wasn't Andre didn't whip him. He would the match would be Warrior would run into Andre and knock him down, but Warrior was really running full speed into Andre and being a little too stiff with him. So one night, Andre, as Warrior's running, just sticks his fist out, and Warrior runs right into it, runs right into the fist,
out cold.
And the next night, light as a feather. The next night. And Andre leans down to Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan is the ringside, and he goes, "He's learning.
I love that.
Low down."
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, Andre was crazy. So then we get Bobby Heenan with Brooklyn Brawler versus Red Rooster. It goes about as easy as you think it does for Red Rooster. He beats up the hurt Bobby Heenan, who's legit hurt, and still goes out there and does this match in 29 seconds. And then Brooklyn Brawler, Red Rooster fight. Describe to us and Lily and some maybe the new listeners, what the fuck is the Red Rooster and who is he?
So the Red Rooster is Terry Taylor, who at this point, before this, was a territory guy. He was the Mid-South champion or the UWF champion at the time that territory was starting to fade out. And then they got bought by Crockett. He was with Jim Crockett for a little while. And they bring him in. And the idea behind the Red Rooster was that Bobby Heenan found this guy who was an average wrestler. Just not a really good wrestler, but Bobby Heenan was going to guide him. And Bobby Heenan was like, I'm going to show everybody, I'm going to take this average wrestler and turn him into a star because I'm that good. I'm Bobby Heenan. And eventually he would just berate him. And there's a famous match from Saturday Night's Main Event where it's Red Rooster against Tito Santana, and Heenan is mic'd at ringside. And it's just Bobby Heenan just letting loose on him, as only Bobby Heenan can. And then after that, Heenan...
Terry Taylor was a pretty big deal in the territories, right?
Yeah, he was a big deal in the UWF when the UWF was going out of business.
So essentially what was happening is the rules with the territories is you don't infringe on our territory, we don't infringe on yours. We can work deals out if you want our guy to go to yours, but he's our guy and you have to protect him and you have to do this. That's how wrestling was set up. Yeah, it was set up that way. WWF was like, nah, WWF was the Northeast territory. They took New York, Pennsylvania. That was their area. And then they got more money, more TV deals, more things. And they just turned around and said, we're going to just take all your top guys from all the territories.
What happened
and they'd bring them over and just not use them properly, or they would never make them higher than what they were.
What happened was Vince McMahon, that we know, bought the territory from his father. His father was never going to compete with other people. And then Vince Jr., Vincent K. McMahon, the Vince McMahon we know, did.
And one of the biggest guys that he stole from the territories to make his star was Hulk Hogan.
From the AWA, yep.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much everybody. Piper came from Mid-Atlantic, and he was in Oregon before that. Everybody came from somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
The only, I think, pretty much nobody that I can think of was kind of because the people who were big in WWF before this were Backlund, Don Morocco. Greg Valentine was in there for a little bit. But he would be all over. People would come through. But yeah, most of your big stars, besides Andre was always loyal to Vince Sr. Andre was the one guy they kind of kept.
Now we have the main event, the World Heavyweight Championship. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan. And boy, Macho Man is fantastic.
He's so good.
He's so good. So goddamn good. And she's watching this and she's like, this isn't bad. He's kicking this shit out of Hulk Hogan. She's like,
and then it clicks. And then it clicks. And I'm like, wait a minute.
She goes, well, how does Hulk Hogan?
I said, wait, does Hulk win?
And I said, always.
He goes, always. And I was like, no.
There are so many.
And she goes, how? Is he gonna is Macho Man gonna make a mistake?
Where does he fuck up?
Because he's dominating.
Where's the disconnect happen?
And I said, no. The way Hulk Hogan wins is you do your finisher. He makes your finisher look like shit, and then he decides at that point he's not going to lose, and then he wins the match. And she's like, get the fuck out of here.
And then roll
elbow drop, Hulk up, he wins.
He goes.
I'm a fan of the Hulk. I think we should.
He goes with his cheeks 17 times.
I'm a big fan of the Hulk up, though. I gotta defend the Hulk up.
Hate it.
Why?
Hate it.
So
For
over.
what?
It's so over.
Dude, even as a kid, I was like, I can't stand this.
That moment is so good, though. Like, if somebody starts hulking up a PPW, you know where it came from, all right?
If
Yeah.
somebody
I still
hulks
think
up
it would
at-
work.
Wrecking Ball of Gursky needs
Okay,
to
but
Hulk
yeah,
up.
if somebody hulks up, I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna be like, "What are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing?" In my mind, I'm so much stronger. Okay, but you're the same person that 5 seconds ago couldn't take that hit. How come you're taking that hit now?
Yeah. So essentially, now the Hulk up spot is done in parody.
I believe that.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
If the right guy did it, it would still work.
It
I'll die
would.
on
It
that
would.
hill.
It would work. It would work because the nostalgia of it. But it would
Maybe
still.
for like one time, but like
but it would
every
still
time
be.
it's-
It would still be. Oh, this is funny. You know what I mean? Like,
If no. Let's paint the picture. Night 2 of WrestleMania. They
Okay.
do a complete revisit. Solo Sikoa comes out, spikes Cody in the throat. Roman hits him with a spear, and Cody hulks up.
he kicks out at 1.
No. You do a 2 count. You got to do it the right way.
No way, come
you-
on, bro. Friggin' Randy
If-
Savage spears him, and he literally was just like, no.
That's what hulking up
That's
is.
it. There wasn't even a 1 second. He was just up. He was just up.
And then he added another bit to it later where you go to punch him and he blocks the punch and then goes, "You!" Like he points at him like you're dead. And then when he points to you're dead, the match is over. Lay down, let Hogan pin you.
It's so good. It's
no,
so good.
that does not
I hate it.
sound good at
But
all.
I hated it.
But he wasn't the only person had this power at this point. The Warrior had it too.
Yes.
And then
Well, I didn't get. I saw the part where the Warrior lost. I haven't seen it.
Then there
Well,
was some.
Wait. I have a question. I'm being completely dead serious. Does Hulk ever lose?
Very rarely.
WrestleMania
I need to watch one of those. I need to watch one of those. I've never.
WrestleMania 6, it's Hogan and the Warrior, and they both hulk up. And
Okay, I know
they-
what's next on the list. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. They both. Yeah. When
skip
Hogan
through the-
loses, he still wins though.
skip through the rest of that show because you
Well,
really just only need to watch Hogan
I
and
got
Warrior.
to see the recap of Randy Savage winning, and
Hogan
Hulk
had to.
in-
Yeah, he has to come out and
in the
celebrate with you.
ring,
Yeah.
right?
This is,
which I
this
was
is why
like, was
Savage was
he-
mad at him, yeah.
I was like, was he in the ring? Like,
Oh,
was he in
wait
the?
till we watch
No?
what WrestleMania is when Hogan comes out and he's not even in the match and he wins the world title.
WrestleMania 9.
Oh, wait till we watch that.
Oh god,
He's not even booked.
And he win. Well, now I
Well,
don't want to watch that because
he
he just told
is-
me he freaking wins. I
He,
don't want to watch
he
it.
is booked in a
Ugh.
tag. He is booked in a tag match, that show.
He's booked in a tag match earlier in the show, then somehow inserts himself into the main event and
so what-
walks out as the champion.
What happens
Yeah.
is the
I
main
don't ever want to watch WrestleMania again. Thank you.
the main event of WrestleMania 9 is Bret Hart, who was the champion. It's his first reign as champion. He's been champion for about 4 or 5 months. And he's defending against Yokozuna, who just won the Royal Rumble. And Yokozuna wins because Bret's got Yokozuna in the sharpshooter. Mr. Fuji throws salt in his eyes because Mr. Fuji's Yokozuna's manager. And then Yokozuna beats Bret Hart because of the salt. And Bret's outside. Bret's being tended to outside, and he can't see. He's blinded. And Hulk Hogan comes out to like comfort him and console him. And
he has
Mr. Fuji gets on the microphone and says, "Hulk Hogan, my Yokozuna can beat you right now." Hulk Hogan comes in and beats Yokozuna in about 45 seconds.
And wins the title.
I don't like it.
Neither did I.
don't like it.
Neither did
And-
I.
And
Is
the
that
whole
when you quit watching? Is that when you're like,
No.
yo, I'm done?
No, but it
You
made me.
still watch?
I did not. When Hulk Hogan was the champion, I didn't give a fuck about the championship.
Right.
I liked the Pipers, the Shawn Michaels, the
Right.
fucking like. I liked all of the under. I'm notoriously not good. Like I don't really like some like unless the title picture is something I'm interested in. When you put that golden baby face, like because Hogan was that way, and then it moved from Hogan to like Cena, and then Cena to like Roman, and then, like once you get that point where you're like, I know you're never gonna lose. I don't like that title anymore because it's boring to me. I want the undercard title. I
want it
want the story.
right.
I want
So one
You
more
want it
thing
to be
about
something worth being fought for.
Yeah.
One more thing about WrestleMania 9 is that the whole plan after that was at SummerSlam that year, Hulk Hogan was going to lose to Bret Hart, and that was going to make Bret Hart the new guy. And
Ask
But that didn't
me if it even
happen,
happened.
It
That
didn't happen, though, did it?
that doesn't work for me, dude.
Yeah, I can't lose the title, brother.
Oh no, he lost the title, but he lost it before SummerSlam at King of the Ring to Yokozuna.
So that he didn't have to lose it
To
there.
Brett.
to
What
Bret,
a
yeah.
dick.
And
'Cause
people
Bret-
wonder why Bret's
I
so
don't even
friggin' angry
listen.
all the time.
Yeah, Brett and Sean were the two guys that were like clearly better than the entire roster, but because they weren't like muscle bound dudes, they weren't allowed to be world champions. And they pretty much proved that yes, a smaller guy can be a world champion and be successful. They came from that lineage. Anything else with WrestleMania 5, BP, that you want to put a bow on this?
I know it's not a great show, but boy, is the show special to me. Because it's my first WrestleMania. It's not the first WrestleMania I ever saw. I actually didn't see it until later. But the hype for it, like this show is like, this is very a formative show for me.
Yeah, it's very iconic.
And Randy Savage is one of the best wrestlers that ever lived. And
totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Now let's do some fun here. Let's pull it up, BP.
Oh no.
Random number generator. Are you ready?
No. All right, here we go.
Dun dun dun.
15.
I was at this one.
He was at this.
I was at this WrestleMania. Okay.
Is this a good one? Do we keep it?
No, we can keep it, but it's really bad.
How bad is bad?
It's well, the main event is The Rock against Steve Austin.
Okay,
which is a good match.
I'll let him run through it. I'm not going to share my screen.
Oh no, I could tell you the card. I could probably tell you the card in very close to the actual order of the card.
Are you still sharing?
Watch. No, he doesn't see this. Go ahead.
Okay.
So we have a 3-way match for the hardcore title with Hardcore Holly, Al Snow, and Billy Gunn. We have the tag team champions Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett against D'Lo Brown and Test, who won a battle royal on Sunday Night Heat. I don't remember I don't know what the third match was in order. This is too soon for Barkon and Butterbean, right?
Nope.
Oh, okay. the brawl for all Barkon and Butterbean.
Yep.
Now I'm going to lose the order because I know we have a it's
another singles match.
Singles match. I know
the next one's a singles match.
Is this the Big Show and Mankind?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then is it the 4-way next?
Yes.
All right. So that is going to be the Road Dogg, Gold Dust, Val Venus, and who am I forgetting? Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
And then is the next one Triple H and Kane?
Yes.
All right. And then that would mean the next one is probably going to be, is it Sable and Tori?
It is.
All right. And now I'm going to get confused because it's one of two.
Championship match.
Oh, European title, X-Pac and Shane McMahon.
Yep.
And then, so that would make Hell in a Cell next?
Yep.
All right, Big Show and the Boss Man.
Oh.
Where he kills the Boss Man.
Or Undertaker and Boss Man. I'm sorry, Undertaker
and Boss Man.
What were the first two?
The first two that he didn't say were dark matches. These happened at the pay-per-view, but they weren't televised.
So they were. They were. This is when Sunday Night Heat was still on. So the dark matches were on Sunday Night Heat. I don't remember the Sunday Night Heat matches. I'm not that good. Are we at?
It was Jacqueline defeats with Terry Runnels defeats Ivory with D'Lo Brown.
And then the Battle Royal, which is how D'Lo and Tess got the tag title shot.
They beat Draws and the Godfather. Yes.
Yeah.
And the main event, and you said already, Stone Cold
Rock
and The
and
Rock.
Steve Austin. Yeah.
Do you want to stick with this 15?
I probably haven't watched it since that day, so let's go with it.
WrestleMania 15 it is.
It's not a good show. It's not a good show.
5 wasn't the greatest either.
I have a question. Are you doing WrestleManias all the way up until WrestleMania?
Until WrestleMania, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do Manias until Mania. Is that fair, or do you want to try something else?
I'm fine with that. I'll go down memory lane.
Let's ask the people. Let's ask the audience. Do you guys want another WrestleMania, or do you want us to do a topic? Or we'll give you either a topic, a WrestleMania, or do we watch an Elimination Chamber show before Elimination Chamber?
Well, it would be after
I've never watched an
Elimination
Chamber either.
It would be after Elimination Chamber, yeah. Well, the next show we'll talk about at the beginning of it, but we will cover Elimination Chamber, and before the Elimination Chamber, I will go live and do a pro wrestling scorecards. So we'll let them pick if they want to do a topic or they want another Mania before Mania. If we are now, your Mania is going to be 15, or do you want a topic? Do you have a topic you can kind of tease that you can want to do?
Not off the top of my head.
You know who I vote for, and it's kind of it's a rewash, but it's not. It's a new era of Tornado Tag, and I think it's a story that people should hear. And I think under this new platform with more eyes and more listeners and more viewers, I think it's a story that should be told again. I know it's kind of fun, not funny, but it's kind of ironic because it's Black History Month. but it's a white dude.
Oh, okay. Sputnik Monroe.
I think the Sputnik Monroe story should be told again.
Well, we could do that. We could do that next week, and then the week after we could do WrestleMania 15. We'll do a little bit of both.
Okay. You want to do that?
That's fine with me.
So next week, Sputnik, the week after Mania?
That's perfectly fine with me.
All right. So next week, we're doing the history of Sputnik Monroe. And then after that, we'll do WrestleMania 15. So we'll give you 2 weeks to watch.
The Raging Climax, WrestleMania 15.
Yes.
So
we'll give you 2 weeks to edge yourself to get to that raging climax.
And boy, is that
I'm
edge.
out. Y'all have a good night.
Boy, is that Kane versus Triple H match bad on that show.
Yeah.
The other thing about that WrestleMania that's very funny, not funny, but Steve Austin comes out in a t-shirt because his vest that he would always wear, I guess, got lost in his luggage or something.
Yikes.
He didn't have his vest. He had to come out in a t-shirt. He was very angry about it. But yeah,
speaking of a t-shirt, The Rock had to cover up that body because that was not in shape on Monday.
That was that is a very important match, though. That is the very first match in the Austin Rock WrestleMania trilogy.
Yeah. They
wrestled at 15, 17, and 19. So this is the first one.
Yeah. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, we talked a lot about the PPW stuff earlier. That'll be the next thing I'm doing wrestling wise. Would be Sanctuary, but then also PPW on the 9th of March. Born to Run.
Do they have a commentary set up in mind for Sanctuary?
I have no idea. We'll figure it out.
I think it's kind of cool. I just interviewed a talent from there and it wasn't shared. I like that. And that was kind of fun for them. Anyway, but as long as photographers are getting graphics, that's cool. But we'll let you go. We'll let you go. Sour grapes all around. Anyway, that'll do it for Tornado Tag Podcast. If you want to go check it out, Jorge Guapo's out.
There
he is. Superstar. Love this kid. Very, very talented. He wrestles all over the place. You could search him up. Mr. James up after that, Miles Penn. Then we have Handsome Max Zero, Frightmare, and then Cheeseburger. Some 5 questions that are out right now. Right now, currently, is Tarzanian Devil is out.
Oh, boy.
And then, which is a great one. And then this Monday, the inevitable Ace Austin will be on.
Tonight at midnight.
Tonight at midnight, that one drops.
Oh, there's a big story. Scott D'Amore of TNA, Tommy Dreamer apparently running creative now.
Yeah. Then we'll have PPW Superstar Rembrandt, which was actually filmed at PPW. These next 5 questions all filmed at PPW when I was there. So I was able to get Rembrandt, I was able to get Officer Ronnie Moses, and I was able to get Malcolm Murray, baby. So they're the next 5 questions. I probably next Sunday will be going to a high tension wrestling show. Right. And I'm not booked to do anything, but I will be there backstage, and I'm hoping to get some 5 questions done.
Whenever you say you're not booked for something, you have to jump on a trampoline in Speedos while lifting little tiny weights.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the fact that he wasn't booked for PPW, and yet he came running out like he was. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say anything else.
I tried to help where I could. I helped get gear from the ringside and brought it in and set up a little gear section that everyone was able to get their stuff by the end of the show.
Right.
Because sometimes at PPW there's 14 laundry baskets full of like stuff underneath the ring because no one brings them all backstage.
I may have had to
phone call or two though.
Maybe
you don't remember this.
No.
Dr. Frank.
Oh yeah,
Dr.
Frank. They needed somebody else to go out, and I was told by the person backstage, "You're going to be part of it."
And go.
And then Dr. Frank turns and looks at me and goes, "Anthony, call an ambulance." And I go, "Not doing that." And I literally walked away. And Jeff Carden's like, "You're not really." I'm like, "Just shut up." And I'm just like, "Yeah. Anyway,
we need an ambulance."
And then Mecca gets in the ring and beats everybody up. And Dr. Frank slams the chair down. Brother, I didn't know. I was like, I know you didn't know. That's why I was walking. We need ice. 14 bags of ice come in. It was great.
Oh, it's always a fun time. It's always a fun time. I never get to see the shows, but I get to see the show behind the show.
Yeah, it's a blast. We do have some new merchandise out there. If you're looking for an Elimination Chamber style t-shirt, we have you covered. If you're looking for a Revolution shirt, we have that covered. And then we have all the Mania stuff all on the website. T-shirts help out them really, really a lot right now. Times are tough for your boy. You know, sometimes life is good and sometimes life is not the greatest. You know, this is probably the best way to sum it up, BP.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
And that's my life, right? In a nutshell. I love that quote. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But we're trying. We're chucking along.
Sometimes you're the bushwhacker, sometimes you're Sean Mooney, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting my head licked a lot.
All right.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up there. That's been Tornado Tag. We'll see you next Sunday for the history of Sputnik Monroe.
Thanks for watching this presentation. Like, share, and subscribe for more.